Hello, my name is Nicole Evans, and today I would like to discuss the USDA and the FDA, their history, authority, and challenges. First, let's start with the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. It was formed in 1862, the executive division of the United States federal government in charge of programs and policies related to farming, industry, and the use of national forests and grassland. The turning point for domestic meat inspection came in 1905 and 1906 after Upton Sinclair published The Jungle. This book described unsanitary working conditions in a Chicago meat packing house, putting meat consumers at risk for disease. As a result, legislation provided for meat inspection created the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Federal Meat Inspection Act. Another significant change in USDA was the Farm Bill, which opened the door for African American farmers. The Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008, known as the Farm Bill, provided African American farmers with the opportunity to seek legal compensation for illegal discrimination in the United States government. The discriminatory practice of the USDA put many African American farmers out of business due to inadequate notification, provisions of settlement, and estimated 73,000 farmers were denied relief despite filing suit because they missed the 6-month window to have their case heard on the merit. Now I would like to move on to the history of the FDA. The United States Food and Drug Administration is a scientific, regulatory, and public health agency that oversees items accounting for 20 cents of every dollar spent by consumers. The agency grew from a single chemist in the U.S. Department of Agriculture in 1862. Beginning as a division of chemistry, the modern era of the FDA dates to 1906 with the passage of Federal Pure Food and Drug Act. This added regulatory functions to the agency's scientific mission. The Bureau of Chemistry's name changed to the Food, Drug, and Insecticide Administration in July 1927. In July 1930, the name was shortened to the present version. FDA remained under the Department of Agriculture until 1940, when the agency was moved to the Federal Security Agency. 15 years later, the FDA became part of the Public Health Services with Health, Education, and Welfare Department, and in May 1980, the education function was removed from the Health, Education, and Welfare to create the Department of Health and Human Services. I would like to move on now to the authority of the USDA. The USDA has federal responsibility for direct regulation of food in the United States and regulatory authority over domestic and imported meat, poultry containing stews, pizzas, frozen foods, and processed egg products, which include liquid, frozen, and dried pasteurized egg products. The National Monitoring and Related Research Act of 1990 required the USDA and the Department of Health and Human Services to implement a coordinated program of nutrition monitoring activities in the United States. The users of the USDA database are diverse and include federal, state agencies, consumer groups, for-profit businesses such as the food industry, restaurants, trade organizations, and data and software application developers, nonprofit organizations such as hospitals and research, and international organizations and foreign governments. The USDA Food and Nutrition Database plays an important role in national monitoring, national food policy, and regulation. They provide the basic infrastructure for food and nutrition research and dietary practices. Some of the USDA's structure and subdivisions are listed as follows. Under Security of Food Safety and Inspection. Under the Security of Marketing and Regulatory Programs, Agricultural Marketing Services, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services. Under the Security of Food and Nutrition and Consumer Services, Food Nutrition Services, Center of Nutrition Policy and Promotion. These are just some of the categories related to the authority over food. I'd like to move on now to the scope of the FDA's regulatory authority, which is very broad. The FDA's responsibilities are closely related to those of several other government agencies. The FDA regulates food, which includes dietary supplements, bottled water, food additives, infant formulas, and other food products. The Center of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, the Office of Regulatory Affairs, the Office of Food Policy and Response are all under the Office of Commissioners of Food and Drugs, the FDA agency. I would like to now move on to the USDA and FDA challenges. With the USDA, the Trump administration has proposed limitations for scientific input to the 2020 dietary guidelines, and it raises concerns among nutrition advocates and independent experts about industry influence over the healthy eating recommendations for all Americans. Moving forward, the FDA's challenges, as the Food Safety Modernization Act begins to take effect, new regulations involving testing, validation, and other requirements pose critical challenges to expanding food imports to the United States. Other trends significantly affect the food industry include genetically modified food, food traceability, food portability, and the rise of culturally relevant food products. This concludes my presentation for the USDA and FDA food policy video. Thank you for listening and have a great day.